They say nothing prepares you for the moment your child realizes the world isn't kind. I thought I had time. I thought I had years before someone dimmed the light in my daughter's eyes. Before she learned that not everyone claps, not everyone smiles, not everyone wants to see you shine. I was wrong. And I will never forget the sound of that silence. Not because it was loud, but because it was so heartbreakingly quiet. It started a month before the show. Bella came home from school clutching a wrinkled flyer in her small hands. "Mom," she beamed. "There's going to be a talent show. And I already signed up." I blinked. "Oh. I'm going to sing," she said proudly, eyes sparkling. Took everything in me to smile back. Not because I wasn't proud. I was. But because we didn't have much. We didn't have the fancy piano lessons or vocal coaches. We didn't have a polished performance outfit or a parent group to rehearse with. We had a thrifted dress, a crackling old speaker, and a living room that doubled as a stage. We had each other. And I hoped just maybe that would be enough. Bella practiced every day. She took it seriously. Taping her lyrics to the fridge. Standing on a stack of pillows, pretending it was a stage. She even made me sit on the couch and pretend to be a judge. "Welcome to the talent show," she'd say in her announcer voice, then giggle. "And now singing This Is Me from The Greatest Showman, please welcome Bella James." She sang her heart out. Every time. I helped her find the right key. I taught her to breathe through nerves. I fixed her hem and bought a tiny hair clip shaped like a star from the dollar store. I told her, "It doesn't matter if they clap. You're already brave for stepping on that stage." But deep down I hoped they would clap. Because no matter how much I try to teach her resilience, part of me still aches knowing that the world hasn't been soft with us. Bella deserves softness. She deserves light. The day of the show came faster than I expected. The school auditorium buzzed with parents holding coffee cups and phone cameras. Teachers stood by with clipboards. Balloons hung limp along the walls. Everything smelled faintly like old linoleum and cafeteria pizza. We were early. Bella kept adjusting her dress. I knelt down, fixed her clip and cupped her face. "You've got this," I whispered. "No matter what, I'm already proud of you." She nodded, serious. "I'm ready." Then she hugged me tightly. "Will Dad be here?" That question hit like a fist to the ribs. I smiled as best I could. "No, baby. He's not coming." She nodded again. "Hey. Doesn't matter." But it did. I knew it did. She was fifth in the lineup. I sat front row, clutching my phone, heart pounding. The first few acts got big reactions. A boy breakdancing to loud music. A girl playing violin, her mother cheering loudest in the back. A duo doing a choreographed TikTok dance that had the kids laughing. Then it was Bella's turn. She walked out slowly, holding the microphone with both hands. Her voice trembled just a little as she said her name and the song title. Then the track began. Her voice was small. Clear. Sweet. Not perfect but real. She missed a note once. I saw her blink, then recover. He kept going. Kept singing. Eyes focused ahead. I watched her pour every ounce of herself into that song. And when it ended, the silence crashed over her like a wave. No claps. No cheers. Not even polite applause. One of the judges glanced at the other and scribbled something on her paper. Another teacher was whispering to the parent beside her. A boy in the second row stifled a laugh. I froze. I looked around, willing someone to clap. Just one person. But no one did. And then I heard it. A voice behind me. "She's just that poor kid from the single mom." It was low. Half laughed. But clear as glass. Another parent. Someone I'd seen at pickup. I didn't know her name. Didn't want to. My hands shook. I pressed them into my lap. My face burned. Bella stood there for a moment longer, staring into the crowd, her lip trembling. Then she turned and walked off the stage. And that's when it hit me, that moment would stay with her. That silence. That smirk. That whisper. It would plant itself in her heart like a seed. I stood up. I didn't care if I interrupted the next act. I just needed to get to her. But before I could move, something shifted. A chair creaked from the back row. Someone stood up. A tall figure in a coat. I couldn't make out the face from where I was. But everyone else noticed. Because the silence broke. People turned. Whispered. Murmured. The man stepped forward. Calm. Certain. And I swear time slowed. He walked toward the stage like he belonged there. Not fast. Not dramatic. Just, with purpose. I looked at Bella. She turned confused. The man reached the edge of the stage. Then slowly he began to clap. Once. Then again. And again. Steady. Loud. Deliberate. Then another person joined. Then another. And suddenly the room filled with applause. Real applause. Clapping that echoed through the auditorium and bounced off the walls. Bella's eyes widened. Her shoulders rose. She turned fully to face the audience. The man gave her a small nod. A smile. And then just like that he sat back down. The show resumed. But nothing felt the same. Because someone saw her. Someone refused to let that silence be the final word. Afterward I found Bella backstage. She was still confused. Still processing. Who was that man? She asked. I didn't know. He was gone before I could thank him. Before I could even look him in the eyes. But he changed something. Not just for Bella. For me too. Because for the first time in a long time I didn't feel so alone. And Bella? She walked out of that auditorium holding my hand like nothing had happened. Like the clap was all she remembered. And maybe that was enough to rewrite the moment. Maybe that's all it takes sometimes. One person. One stranger. One choice to stand when no one else will. The ride home was quiet. Bella sat in the back seat holding her little silver star clip in her hand. She kept twisting it between her fingers, the way she does when she's thinking too hard but doesn't want me to know. I didn't push. I didn't ask. I just drove. My hands stayed tight on the steering wheel but my mind was 1,000 miles away, still back in that auditorium. Still hearing that silence. Still hearing that awful whisper behind me. She's just that poor kid from the single mom. I couldn't shake it. I wanted to scream. To turn around and tell that woman everything I've held in for 10 years. That Bella is not that poor kid. That she's kind and brave and funny and musical. That her heart is 10 times bigger than those plastic smiles people wear when they think they're better than you. But I didn't scream. I didn't say a word. Because then, someone else stood up for us. And I still didn't know who he was. Mom. Bella finally said. I glanced in the rearview mirror. Her eyes met mine. She looked small in that big seat. Smaller than usual. Who was that man? I swallowed. I don't know, sweetheart. She nodded slowly. He clapped really loud. He did. And he stood up. Before anyone else did. He did, I said again, softer this time. She looked back out the window. Do you think he liked my singing? I pulled the car over. Right there next to the empty park down the street from our apartment. I turned in my seat to face her. I know he did, I said. And more importantly, I did. You were brave, Bella. Braver than I ever was at your age. But no one else clapped, she whispered. At first. My chest tightened. I reached back and took her hand. You stood up there alone and you didn't quit. That's not something most people can do. That's strength, baby. That's real. She didn't say anything for a while. Just nodded and looked back out at the streetlights. And in that moment I hated the world just a little. For making her question something she'd been so proud of the day before. We went home, heated up leftover spaghetti and watched cartoons on the floor. Just the two of us. Just like always. But that night, after she fell asleep curled up on the couch with her stuffed fox under her chin, I sat alone with my thoughts. And I couldn't stop wondering. Who was he? Where did he come from? Why did he care? It's easy not to get involved. Easy to stay seated. Easy to pretend someone else will do the right thing. But he didn't. He moved. He stood. He made noise when the world went quiet. That man, that stranger, had more impact on my daughter's self-worth than most people in her life ever had. And I didn't even get to thank him. The next day at school pickup I scanned the sidewalk. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe a face that looked familiar. Maybe someone holding a briefcase or wearing the same coat. Nothing. Just the usual parents in yoga pants and button-downs. The usual tired teachers. The same tight cliques huddled in their judgment bubbles. I waited as Bella walked out holding her lunchbox. She ran up to me smiling. We're doing a class poster about heroes. Miss Talia said we can pick real people or characters. Oh. I said. Yeah. I picked the man from the talent show. I smiled. You did. Yep, she said. I called him the clapping man. Made me laugh. A soft, teary kind of laugh. That's a perfect name. I drew him with a cape, she added like it was obvious. Because only superheroes make people feel better when they're sad. She said it so matter-of-factly it broke me a little. The rest of the week passed in pieces. I checked the school newsletter. Nothing. I asked one of the teachers who helped organize the talent show. She said she didn't know who he was, that plenty of extended family members had come, and they didn't exactly check IDs. I thought about putting up a post online, but I stopped myself. What would I even say? Looking for the man who clapped for my daughter because the rest of the world didn't? Sounded ridiculous. But I kept checking. Hoping. And then the universe gave me a crack in the door. It was Friday afternoon when I stopped by the local library to return some books. Bella was in the children's section, picking out a new chapter book. I was wandering the nonfiction aisles when I spotted him. I nearly dropped the stack in my hands. It was the coat I recognized first. The same deep gray wool, slightly frayed near the cuffs. Then the face. Familiar. He was reading, glasses low on his nose. I stood frozen for a second. Then I walked over. "Excuse me," I said, voice shaking. He looked up slowly. And smiled. "Yes. You were at the talent show," I said. "At Maple Ridge. You stood up. You clapped." He looked surprised. Then he chuckled softly. "I didn't think anyone noticed me." "I noticed," I said. "My daughter, the little girl who sang, she noticed." He closed his book gently. "She was wonderful. Truly." "Thank you," I said. My voice cracked. I didn't get to say it that night. I need you to know you changed something for her. For us. He looked at me kindly. "That's very kind of you to say. But all I did was clap." "No," I said. "You didn't. You made the entire room remember what kindness looks like. You changed the way she'll remember that moment. And I will never forget that." He paused, then extended his hand. "My name's Ethan." "Claire," I said, taking it. We stood there for a beat, two strangers wrapped in a shared memory. "I was just passing through that night," he said. "Visiting my niece. My brother asked me to come to her recital. I happened to be seated in the back." He smiled a little, almost apologetic. "But when your daughter sang and no one clapped, it hit something in me. I just thought, no, this isn't right. So I stood." "She's drawing a poster of you," I blurted. He blinked. "I'm sorry. A school poster. He called you the clapping man. She drew you with a cape." He laughed genuinely now. "That might be the best nickname I've ever had." We talked for a few more minutes. Nothing dramatic. Just simple truths. He didn't ask for anything. Didn't act like a hero. He just said he was glad she kept singing. Glad it mattered. And before he left, he said something I'll never forget. "Most people think they need to do something big to make a difference. But sometimes the world turns because of the small things. A smile. A clap. A moment of presence." I nodded. "You did that." He tipped his head. "So did you. You showed up. Every day, I bet." I watched him walk away. No fanfare. No music swelling in the background. Just quiet impact. That night I told Bella I met him. Her eyes lit up. He asked what he was like. "Kind," I said. "Kind and calm. And proud of you." She nodded. I knew he was. I don't know if we'll ever see Ethan again. But he changed something fundamental in our lives. Because now, when Bella walks into a room, she doesn't assume no one will clap. He assumes someone will. Because one person did. And sometimes that's all it takes. After I met Ethan at the library, everything shifted just slightly. Not like a movie shift. No dramatic montage or swelling music. But a quiet change, the kind you don't see until you look back and realize everything feels a little warmer, a little lighter. Bella started humming again. Not singing, not right away, but humming. In the mornings while brushing her teeth. In the afternoons when drawing on the kitchen floor. In the evenings as she read her books out loud, flipping pages with one hand and petting her stuffed fox with the other. It was like the melody had returned to her without permission. And I knew, that man in the back row hadn't just saved a moment. He had rescued something sacred inside my daughter that day. A week later, her teacher sent home a note. Not the red-inked, concerning kind. This one was written in blue pen on a soft pink sticky note, attached to Bella's homework folder. Bella volunteered to lead the morning song today. She was a little shaky, but she did it. Thought you'd want to know. I must have read it 6 times. He did it. She stood up again. She used her voice, even after being told by silence that it wasn't worth hearing. I pulled out the construction paper folder where I keep everything. Her spelling tests, her drawings, her crayon-labeled dreams. I added the sticky note to the front cover like a badge. Because that small act meant the world to me. But even with that progress, I started to notice something else. Something colder. At pickup, the other parents weren't quite as friendly anymore. The mom who had laughed that night, I still didn't know her name, was always there, standing with a few others near the flagpole. They'd lower their voices when I walked by. They stopped making eye contact. Their smiles were tight plastic. It's strange how some people can hate you for surviving something they created. But I didn't let it get to me. Not this time. Because Bella's joy was louder than their whispers. One afternoon as we were walking home, she stopped suddenly on the sidewalk. "Do you think I should try again next year?" she asked. "Try what?" "The talent show," she said. "But this time with a new song. Something harder." I looked down at her, messy ponytail, scraped knees, glitter-stained backpack, and I saw it. Fire. Not defiance. Not rage. Conviction. "You absolutely should," I said. She smiled like the sun had just risen just for her. From that day forward she practiced again. Every night. Her voice stronger. Her timing better. Her confidence blooming like spring in her lungs. And this time I didn't just help her. I joined her. I started singing too. We did warm-ups in the car. We made a game out of guessing song lyrics. We turned washing dishes into duet hour. And for the first time in what felt like years, I allowed myself to be part of the music again. As I used to sing. Before I became the single mom. Before life turned into a schedule of paychecks, grocery runs, and managing other people's expectations. I used to love my voice. Then one day, somewhere between the divorce and the eviction and the overdue bills, I stopped using it. I let my world get quiet. But Bella? She was pulling me out of that. One night while I was tucking her in, she whispered, "Mom?" "Yes. You're the best singer I know." I laughed. "You're just saying that because I buy you snacks." "No," she insisted, serious now. "You sing like you mean it." That stuck with me. You sing like you mean it. The next day I started looking at open mic nights. Not to perform. Not yet. Just to go. Just to remember what it felt like to be in a space where people were allowed to be heard. I found a little cafe downtown, Moon and Melody, that hosted acoustic nights every Thursday. No stage. Just a small rug, a mic stand, and a line of mismatched chairs. I went by myself. Sat in the back. Listen. The first week I didn't speak to anyone. Just sipped my tea and let the music wash over me. The second week I said hello to the girl at the counter. The third week I sang. Not because I had planned to, but because someone canceled. The host, a soft-voiced man named Theo, said, "Anyone want to jump in?" And before I could stop myself, I raised my hand. I sang a soft, simple version of Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. My voice trembled on the second verse. I forgot a line in the bridge. But I finished. And when I looked up, people clapped. Not out of pity. Not out of obligation. They clapped because they meant it. Theo gave me a nod from the back. A few people smiled. One woman handed me a paper napkin with the words, "Beautiful tone," scribbled in blue pen. I walked home that night lighter than I'd felt in years. When I got back, Bella was asleep. But I sat on the edge of her bed and whispered, "You were right. I do sing like I mean it." She didn't answer. But she smiled in her sleep. The next morning I found a note tucked in my purse. Written in Bella's looping print. "Sing loud. Even when they whisper. Especially when they don't." That became our motto. Sing loud. Even when they whisper. Especially when they don't. The school year moved on. Bella started 5th grade. We moved out of the old apartment into a rental with better windows and a little balcony. I picked up extra shifts at the diner. Started tutoring music on the side. Saved every dollar I could. And people started to notice us again. Not with judgment. Not with shame. With something else. With curiosity. With admiration. With respect. One of the moms from the PTA, not the whispering group, invited me to speak at their monthly meeting. She said, "We need more voices like yours. Real ones." At first I hesitated. But then I thought of Bella's note. Especially when they don't. So I went. I stood in front of a room of women who'd once seen me as a warning sign. And I told the truth. About the silence. About the whisper. About the man who clapped. About what it did to my daughter. And about how it reminded me that sometimes, the smallest kindness changes the loudest pain. When I finished, they stood up. One by one. And clapped. I wasn't used to it. But I didn't shrink. I let the sound fill the room, then my heart. Later that evening, Bella asked how the meeting went. I told her, they clapped. He grinned. Told you. That's kind of our thing now. And I realized it was clapping, speaking, standing. It wasn't about applause anymore. It was about defiance. Joyful, unapologetic defiance. We were no longer waiting for permission to belong. We were writing our own rhythm. And soon we wouldn't be clapping for ourselves alone. Because people were starting to join us. The new school year brought with it the kind of hope that feels cautious. Like walking on ice you think is thick enough, but you still test it with every step. Bella had signed up again. Another talent show. Same auditorium. Different girl. She had picked a different song this time. Rise Up by Andra Day. I wasn't sure whether she chose it for the lyrics or the message, but either way, it fit her like a second skin. She sang it around the house like it lived in her bones now. And this time she wasn't shy. She wasn't asking if she should. She was telling me that she would. I watched her rehearse in her bedroom mirror, hair tied back, practicing her posture like a pro. She built herself piece by piece, never once flinching from the parts that had once made her fold. She still wore the same silver star hair clip, the one she had held in her hand after the first show. She said it was lucky. I think it was a reminder. Every night leading up to the performance, I'd ask her if she was nervous. Not nervous, she'd say. Just ready. And I believed her. But me. I wasn't ready. Not entirely. Because I knew she'd be strong. And I knew she'd sing. But I also knew who would be sitting in that room. The whispering mother. I'd never confronted her. Not directly. After the talent show I kept my head down. Focused on Bella. Avoided the carpool lane gossip like it was poison. But her voice stayed in my head. Cutting. She's just that poor kid from the single mom. And now here we were. Months later. Bella stronger than ever. And me still carrying that whisper in my back pocket like a stone I didn't know how to throw or set down. The day of the show arrived. Bella was calm, collected. I was the one with sweaty palms and a lump in my throat. We walked into the same auditorium. Same scuffed floors. Same faded red curtains. Same folding chairs that pinched at the backs of your knees. But this time Bella didn't look overwhelmed. She looked focused. We found our seats front row again. I scanned the crowd. And there she was. The woman. Sitting 3 rows back, surrounded by her group of usuals. Same stiff smile. Same pressed blouse. She didn't look at me. But I saw the glance. The flicker of recognition. The small downward curve of her lips when she noticed us. I faced forward. I wouldn't give her the power. Not again. The show began. Little magicians, tumblers, ukulele kids. The usual chaos and joy. Parents clapping, kids waving nervously at their teachers. And then it was Bella's turn. They called her name and she stepped onto the stage without hesitation. She didn't even look to the side. Just adjusted the mic, took a breath, and nodded toward the teacher running the sound system. The music started. And she sang. She sang like she had been waiting her whole life for that moment. She sang like she didn't care who was in the audience. And the room was silent, but not in the way it had been last year. This silence was reverent. Eyes wide. Shoulders forward. People leaning in. Even the judges, the same ones as before, looked genuinely moved. One of them even put a hand over her chest. Bella's voice cracked once near the high note. She caught herself, found it again, and kept going. And when she finished for just a beat, the room paused. Then it erupted. Applause. Real, thunderous applause. People stood. Teachers clapped. One parent whistled. And there in the middle of it all, Bella smiled. Not a shy smile. A knowing one. She bowed once. Then walked off the stage with her chin high. I didn't know I was crying until Leo's old teacher, who happened to be sitting beside me, handed me a tissue. She's incredible, she said. You've done something beautiful with her. I just nodded. Words felt too small. After the show, the kids gathered backstage with cookies and paper cups of juice. Parents wandered around taking photos. I waited near the hallway, giving Bella her moment to be the star without me hovering. And that's when I saw her. The woman. She approached from the side. Alone this time. I turned to face her fully. I wasn't going to pretend not to notice. She stopped a few feet away. Her voice was quiet. Tense. She's good. I didn't reply. I didn't know she had that in her. I looked her in the eyes. You didn't want to know. Her mouth twitched. Look, I don't remember exactly what I said last year. It was a long day. Things get said. You said she was just that poor kid from the single mom, I said clearly. She flinched. Good. I stepped closer. My voice calm. Steady. She heard it. I did too. That moment could have broken her. The woman glanced away, suddenly interested in the scuff marks on the wall. I shook my head. But it didn't. You know why? Because one person stood up when everyone else sat in silence. Because someone chose kindness instead of cruelty. And because she chose to keep singing, louder. She crossed her arms. Are you trying to make me feel guilty? No, I said. I'm trying to make sure the next time you speak about someone's child like that, you remember their mother might be standing right in front of you. She opened her mouth. Closed it again. I didn't wait for her apology. I turned and walked away. I didn't need her regret. I didn't want her to validate me. I just needed to say what had lived in my chest since that night. When Bella came running down the hallway toward me, holding her little trophy, third place, but she didn't care, she wrapped her arms around my waist. I did it, she beamed. You more than did it, I whispered. She looked up at me. Did she see? The clapping man. I smiled. No, sweetheart. But the whole room did. That night we got ice cream. She wore her medal all the way to bed. I let her. I sat on the couch later thinking. That moment of confrontation with the woman didn't give me closure. It didn't change the past. But it gave me my voice back. Because for the longest time I was afraid of being that mom. The one people whisper about. The one they label before they even hear her story. Well, I don't care if I'm that mom. Because I am that mom. The one who shows up. The one who teaches her daughter to stand tall. The one who hears a whisper and drowns it out with applause. I may not always get it right. But I will never let the world teach Bella that she is less. Not while I still have breath in my body. And if ever that silence creeps in again, I know exactly what to do. I'll stand. I'll clap. And I'll keep singing. Sometimes healing doesn't come with a grand finale. It comes in the quiet moments. In the second you realize your child no longer doubts her place in the world. In the way your voice no longer shakes when you speak up. In the morning light on a face that's no longer afraid to be seen. That's how it's been since the show. Bella walks taller now. Not just because of the applause but because she remembers the silence and knows she survived it. She still sings. But now she does it with the windows open. She dances while brushing her teeth. She hums while doing math homework. She wears her star clip even on regular days. Me. I've started singing again too. Not just in open mics but in the kitchen. At work. In the shower when no one's home. I've even started writing songs. Something I used to love before life got so heavy. One of the songs is called Back Row. Bella helped me name it. We performed it together at Moon and Melody one Thursday night. She stood next to me in her jean jacket and silver clip, her voice clear and proud, as we sang about a girl who stood on a stage and a man who clapped when no one else did. The room went quiet when we finished. Then the clapping started. Someone stood. Then another. And another. Until the whole cafe was on their feet. Bella turned to me, grinning so hard I thought her cheeks might burst. I think he'd be proud, she whispered. I know he would, I said. We never saw Ethan again. Not in person. But a few weeks later we got a letter. No return address. Just a card, tucked in an envelope with neat handwriting on the front. Claire and Bella. Inside was a typed message. I happened to catch a clip online of your song. Your voices carry weight. Keep using them. The world gets a little louder with every woman who refuses to stay silent. That was it. But it was everything. I framed the letter and hung it near Bella's desk. She says it helps her write. Because now she writes songs too. Short ones, messy ones, perfect ones. She even started a club at school called The Brave Voice. They meet once a week during lunch. Sing. Share poems. Cheer for each other. One of the boys in her class, shy, stutters when he speaks. got a standing ovation last week for playing a keyboard melody he made up in his garage. Bella was the first to stand. Of course she was. She doesn't wait anymore. She leads. It's wild to think that 1 year ago she stood on a stage and got nothing. No applause. No recognition. No kindness. And now she's creating a world where no one gets left behind. The school even asked her to speak at assembly. She stood in front of her classmates, her teachers, her principal and said, "Sometimes when no one claps you start to believe you don't matter. But you do. You always do. And if you ever forget, look for the person clapping for you. Or, be that person for someone else." I cried. Not silently either. I cried like a mom who knew how hard it was to rebuild something the world tried to tear down. The principal shook my hand afterward. Said, "Your daughter is something special." I smiled. She always has been. And it's true. He always has been. It just took one man, one stranger, to remind her. And me. And that's the thing I want everyone to take from this. You don't need to fix someone's life to change it. You don't need to be their parent, their teacher, their friend. Sometimes you just need to be present. To clap when it's hard. To stand when it's uncomfortable. To care when no one else does. That's how the world gets better. Not in big leaps, but in tiny moments of courage. So if you're listening to this and you've ever felt small, if you've ever watched someone else get celebrated while you were overlooked, if you've ever been whispered about, doubted, dismissed, remember this. You still get to rise. You still get to sing. You still get to take up space. And if the room goes silent, sing louder. And somewhere, in the very back row, someone will stand. Even if it's only one. Even if it's just you. Thank you for listening to our story. If this touched you, please let us know in the comments. Have you ever had someone clap for you when no one else did? Or have you been that person? We'd love to hear about it. And if you haven't heard it yet today, I see you. I believe in you. And I'm clapping for you right now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs a reminder. Sometimes the quietest voices hold the loudest truth. And those voices, they're worth everything.